everybody, welcome back to Shots Life. This week on I bought a 2005 American Eagle, and she is beautiful. But this week she gives me lots of trouble. We replaced some dock lights, which was not trouble. We replaced some fog lights, which wasn't difficult. And then we got into the hydraulics. Hang on, folks, we get into some stuff there. Along with some air ride issues, we replaced some solenoids on some of the controllers. Yeah, it's a heck of an episode. Hey, stick with me. It's going to be a good one. I always say that. And they're always good, though. Welcome to my life. All right, it is a rainy day. The temperature is actually not terrible, but the humidity is crazy, so I can't work on the boat. I'm pretty sure next week's gonna be the week I'm gonna start working on the boat because it's supposed to get to 70s for several of the days. So I plan on doing fiberglass on those days. But anyway, neither here nor there. Today, I've been working on the bus. This light here I had to replace these. They weren't even here. And then in here, I don't know if he hit something or something, but because it's kind of dented right here, but it must have ripped the wires out, so the wires disconnected up there in the corner. I don't know how much you can see in there, but hopefully you can see that, but they were ripped off there. So I have spliced in new wires and then recovered them, and I'm letting these cool. I just soldered those solder shrink wrap things. So I've let those cool, letting those cool, and then I'll just tuck them in, and we should be good to go. So that takes care of those, other than just closing it up and zip tying them together and stuff like that. And then I'll need to come up here and replace these two because I haven't done that yet. And then this one down here doesn't work, which is weird because it's got a new LED in it. So I'm not sure why that one's not working. We'll have to figure that one out. That's kind of what I'm up to today. Yeah, just kind of a rainy day, and that was a rainy day project. It did take quite some time. I probably should have been videoing the thing, but I mean, it would really bored you. I could barely reach up in there, so I'm reaching from this side and that side. I have noticed that this Webco is just releasing air periodically, and so it just keeps letting air out. I don't understand. It's on the high pressure side. It doesn't have high pressure. So I'm thinking that valve is bad too. So I'm probably going to go ahead and order this whole Webco system down here. Of course, I replaced this, but I don't think it's getting it done. I'm going to have to replace this whole thing. You know, I did clean the main valve, which is no longer leaking. There probably is a rebuild kit for this and that. But honestly, I think I'm just going to replace it, get a new one. So I'll order that up and get that coming. So that's kind of the update on that. Everything else going pretty good. Since I put those new batteries in there, they seem to be doing fine as long as I shut the motor power off. There is a drain on the motor power. I'm thinking that it's this hydraulic system that it is not working correctly, but I have to leave it plugged in. Otherwise, there's all kinds of alarms and stuff that go off on my dash. I do plan to replace that whole system. There's a bent. See here? I don't know if you heard that or not, but there's a bent ram here. One of the rams has been pushed over, so I need to pull that off, and then I didn't know if you can see in there, but and then that back bracket I need to pull off so that I can get that remade because it's bent now. So I need to get that bracket remade for the new system to go on. So that's going to be a huge project, trying to get that out of there. And then I have a screw in one of these tires that's been in there for a long time. You can tell it's a real slow leaker. So I'll need to get this up into Lexington at some point to get that tire patched for that screw. So lots of little things on the list, you know. Really haven't been working on it too much because I've been focused on a bunch of other stuff. But a good rainy day to come over here and play. So that's what I'm doing. All right, let me get back to work. Now I definitely have some work to do on this part of the bus. The guy, I think it appears to me that he hit like a pole at a gas station, probably swung wider. And it might have been his gates too. He had some chain link gates that he'd go through, and it kind of looks like chain link damage as well. But he chipped it up pretty good. Anyway, that'll have to be fixed. But in the meantime, I'm going to swap this dock light out. Same thing, I got some new ones. They're LEDs, much brighter, much cleaner looking. And I got these new caps. You'd think these things were metal. They look metal. They're just plastic. But on the other one up front, I had to actually sand around it which this one I may as well, because it didn't fit in there flush. And you can kind of see this one's poofed at the bottom. So it's probably going to be the same scenario where I have to take it out and then grind some of the fiberglass down around it. But all right, so it's a little bit custom, but it took it from that to that, which I think is a much nicer look. Yeah, you know, these just get old. I mean, technology changes. Cool. Now I just need to clean all this fiberglass crap up. Move on to the next one. All right, let's see how fast we can do this one. Now that I remember all the stuff I'm supposed to remember. I remember the big one, first one being a pain. That's why I never got to the rest of them. I remember thinking, this will take 10 seconds. And it took like half a day. All right, so that's the last dock light, so they're all on. They went on pretty well for the most part. Once I remembered what I was supposed to do. Yeah, so let me put that cap on backwards. I had to take it back off and put it on correctly. I had it facing the wrong way. But we got her on there. She's looking good. All right, so we're in good shape, I think. I think those will light up the campground as I back in. They're made to flood the area with light, so you can see when you're trying to pull in a campsite at night. You know, kind of lights up both sides of the coach. So that one's not working. That's not good. Why is this one not working? Did we unplug it? No, we didn't plug it back in. One's finally on. All right, so all of our dock lights work now. That's good. I'm glad we checked them. All right, they're bright, aren't they? I mean, I don't know. You can see them. I mean, they're pretty much bright out. I kind of worry about that because they're almost directional as opposed to flooding the area. So. But I plan to put our lights on here too, so that's good for now. All right, let me clean up and we'll start the next ones. I need to replace the fog lights underneath, driving lights underneath here. I actually have them. They're fog slash driving lights. All right, so like I said, part of the problem with these old lights is they've been hit a few times, rocks or whatever. I'm sure in their day they were something, and I'll be replacing them. I'm already taking this one off. These Navajo lights. They're dual, they're fog and driving lights all in one. It does take a special switch though, or you can set it. So I bought the switch kit that goes with it. And I'm gonna put them on here and see how they go. The only thing I'm worried about is how low they hang, because these these are pretty low. Excuse me, these are pretty low hanging. So I'll have to figure out something to space them down. Maybe I can use the same stuff off this one. That'll definitely be a cleaner look, don't you think? Not even really comparable. Technology. Man, we come a long ways. People just got into lights. I've always been into lights, but people just got into lights. So I guess that's what drives sales, and so they come up with cool stuff because we'll buy it. really not a lot to these, but I'll go right up in that hole and they'll bolt in right there. Very cool. I think it's gonna, I wish I could drop it just a little lower though, because I don't want it too low, but I also want it to not catch the bumper up here and block the light down, you know what I mean? So it's gonna have to be all the way forward for sure. So right in there somewhere, let me lock that down. All right, that's Slitty Slick right there. I may not hook those fogs on. I may just use the wiring harness and there for now. I do have the kit if I need to decide to go back and do it, but for now, but it definitely blows those out of the water, doesn't it? Not even close. Not even close. So, all right, let's get the other one on there, and then I'll probably go ahead and wire it to this for now. I can't remember what they said. Something about clicking it while it's on. It'll go to the next, you know, the fog or whatever. So it has the yellow light, you know, built into it. But this will do for now. I'll get the plug put on it. We'll clip it in, and we'll call it good for now. Well, it was a good day. We got lots of lights in. Look at the headlights are on. I thought I turned the headlights on. That's weird. I wonder if the headlights only turn on when the bus is on. I'll try that again. I don't know what's going on with these headlights. Fog lamps, headlights. Okay, maybe you have to push a little further. Maybe you have to push it a little further. Did this one? I think they did. All right. Those are some weak headlamps. So we're going to have to fix those for sure. Fog lamps look really good down there. They're really lighting things up. Headlights suck. Got to do something about those. Then this light's flickering. I don't even know how to get into those actually. I think I have to take that whole assembly out. Not sure. It's kind of weird. And I don't even see how to take it out, to be honest with you. I'll have to work on that. Parking lights all look good. The blinkers are obviously good. I can't run right now. Flashers, I got to figure that flasher thing out. But dock lights are looking good. Is that dock light on? Yeah, I guess it was. But they're not bright when you're not standing in front of them, are they? Tail lights, lights up top, looking good. Dock lights. I don't know if my dome lights are working up there. I have them on. Oh yeah, they're working. All right, good morning. Hey, today I'm going to try to deal with this jack issue. I have a bent jack under here. I knew it when I bought the RV, and I've kind of got to deal with it. So obviously at one point, the owner of this thing put this jack on soft ground and put it down and put the bus weight on it. He must have left his wheels down. And he torqued it pretty good. I don't know if you can see that. It's bent sideways. The big bracket is definitely bent. So I've got to get that bracket off and get it to a metal shop and basically have it rebuilt. And then I think I need to find a new foot or possibly a new jack. I'll have to see. It looks wild sitting in here, but the bracket's bent and the foot is bent sideways, so it's hard to tell if the cylinder is actually messed up or not. But I'll have to definitely figure that out. So I'm going to work on getting the boot bolts loose. Looks like they're welded on this side, so that's awesome. They actually cut a hole here in this box, which it will be helpful as well. And then, of course, I'll have room, hopefully, to get in on this side. But my goal right now is just to loosen it up. And then I've got to work on getting this big bracket off, which those bolts are up here, tucked in behind this wiring harness. But we'll have to figure it out. We'll come across that bridge when we get there, right? I mean, because look at all these wires. I mean, you can't even get in here. It's going to be a little crazy for sure. But you got to do what you got to do. So we will figure it out one step at a time. All right, so that's all the talking I'm going to do. I'll probably put you on like a speed. You may or may not see much of this. I don't know, depending on how well the shots are. It's going to be tough to get a clean shot of that while I'm working on it. But there you go. That's what I'm doing. All right, so far, I'm really impressed on how easy this is coming. I think I owe a lot of thanks to the person that worked on it before me. I'm sure some garage somewhere worked on it, and they have the bolts halfway loosened. Some of what I'm dealing with, though, and I don't think you'll be able to see it very well. I try to get some light on for the camera, but is the wiring harness is right here. And the bolts, I mean, are behind the wiring harness, and they just didn't cut a lot of extra room there for wires to go through. But yeah, definitely got to do some work there to get that straightened out. Yeah, it is what it is, but I got those bolts out. Got one more to go up at the top, and then that bolt's still sitting in there, and this bolt will be sitting in there. And then I'll have to add new hydraulic lines to drop the jack. I'm kind of dreading on that. I'll drain the tank first before I do that. I just wanted to see how hard the lines were going to be before I even started on that. And I am going to have a massive neck ache, and my stomach, my ripped abs are going to be hurting. And they're not ripped at all, but they're going to be hurting after this because you keep lifting up to get in there, you know. And I keep forgetting I'm putting the stress on my neck. Wouldn't matter. Long story, back surgery, yada yada yada. Got a bad neck too. So anyway, things that I go through in life, right? So anyway, it could be worse. I know a lot of guys with bad backs that are still pushing concrete. So yeah, let me get this last bolt. It's up underneath this wiring harness in there. You know, they're just hard to get to places, but we'll get this last bolt off, and then I'll undo the hydraulics. I'll drain the tank, and then I'll undo the hydraulics, and we'll go from there. Well, that started real clean, but it got pretty dirty fast. I think the clean stuff is probably the stuff I put in not too long ago, because I put in a bunch of stuff to get it above the level that it needed to be to shut the alarm off. It turned out it wasn't that, but man, the stuff that was in there is nasty, so I'm kind of glad we're draining it. But anyway, that's a whole different story. All right, so yeah, now I think I'll just pull these hydraulic lines off here, both top and bottom. I'll have to get another catch pan to make sure it doesn't leak all over the floor, but I'm sure it's going to leak some. And after that, we'll pull those bolts. I mean, those bolts, everything's out except for the bolts that are just holding it up. So all I have to do is lift it up a little bit. They'll come off. I'm not sure if I should put a jack underneath there and let it down slowly. I don't know how heavy it is either. Probably a couple 100 pounds. I don't know. We'll find out though, won't we? We'll wrestle it to the ground. And if it falls, it's only falling a foot. I'll just make sure I'm not under it. right, so we were going on great, and I got to this last hydraulic hose, and it is just rusted tight. And they must have like really wrenched on it because it's like stripped, right? So when you put the wrench on there and you try to go one way or the other, it almost slides off on the tightening way. You know, I've tried tightening and loosening it just to kind of play with, try to get it go back and forth or whatever. And man, it just doesn't budge. The valve, this one this way is loose, the one that goes into the cylinder, but the one up here, I mean, I've seen it move, right? But the one up here just isn't even moving. I mean, it's just tight. So I shot her again with some brake free. We'll let her sit for a second. We'll try it again. That's all we can do is just keep shooting it. And I really don't want to put heat on it because it's hydraulic, but so that's kind of where we're at. Worst comes to worst, I'll cut the line and take it off that way, but rather not do that because I like to use my lines to kind of measure out what my new lines need to be. So yeah, that's where we're at on that. Fun, huh? Yeah, it was going along so well too. All right, finally we got it moving. I mean, enough brake free and enough pushing it back and forth and trying to get it tight and getting it loose, getting it tight, getting it loose, and I got her moving. She's definitely still got a lot of rust on her and stuff. I'll spray her a couple more times, but she is moving. Yay! All right, that's awesome. Now take out a couple bolts and let this thing down. I think I should put a jack under it just to hold it up. Pull that bolt, pull the other side, see what happens then. Sorry, my wife brought me a grilled cheese sandwich. That's good. Yeah, so I got her out of here. That was kind of a pain. Hopefully I didn't damage the floor or anything because it did fall hard. But here she is. Got her out of there. What a mess, huh? I'll get that cleaned up and then I'll put something around these hydraulic lines so they don't leak all over the floor more. But this will definitely give me an idea of what I'm looking at. And honestly, the cylinder doesn't look bad. The bolt is actually straight in line, and it's the foot that's bent, so I'll have to find a new foot. And then, of course, get this straightened out. But I have a feeling that cylinder is going to be just fine. I will need to replace this bracket. The bracket is all bent up, so get that straightened up. And that'll allow me to look at this frame just a little bit better. Yeah, that frame looks a little tweaked, but I think if I get Rodney to put me a nice plate on there, I think she'll be okay. Very interesting. But it definitely tells the story now that it's out. The brackets are bent at the top, but I think they'll be fine. You can probably bend those back and then just make that plate so it's straight. And so it's just the bottom one that I'm worried about. The top, like with that plate on there, I'll make the plate a little wider or something. It'll pan that out. But the bottom has to be pushed in, otherwise it's going to be in the way. Man, it must have really pulled hard when it pulled, So let me get these hydraulic lines cleaned up, capped off. And then we'll go from there. It's starting to make a mess down there. But pretty cool getting this out of there. We'll get her washed up, cleaned up, and we'll see what we got. And go from there. Pretty cool fireplace they built here. Rodney Montgomery. It's all metal. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's another wonderful day. It's cold, rainy, but cool that these brackets got fixed. Montgomery Machine Shop did a great job of banging these out and getting them, hammering them down with their machines and sledgehammers and everything else they did to get them as straight as they could. Both the cylinder and the foot are really great. And the bracket, and it's unbelievable that he got that straight. I cannot believe that he got that straightened out. I mean, it was so tweaked. Unbelievable how straight he got it. But anyway, I still got to get some bolts for the backside of this. We had to cut the nuts off to get it in the machine. So I'll need to get some new nuts and weld those back on there, but that's not a big deal because you can't reach behind these. So I'll need to get that done. But outside of that, really great that this is back in business. I do need some O-rings. These are supposed to have O-rings on them and they're leaking. I just think the O-rings just got, I think they're just toast. I think they got flattened out or whatever. I'm not sure. But I'll need to get some O-rings on there to get them sealed back up. And yeah, so that's kind of where we're at with that. This morning I plan to go switch kind of gears back to, because I haven't got the nuts yet, but I plan to switch gears and go back to getting the pneumatics worked on. The front travel side of the manifold is given an error, and of course when I went under there it's totally rusted out. So I'll need to see if I can get the bolts off of those cylinders, and if I can, and I can pull the solenoids off, the electro part of it, then I can order those solenoids individually and it'll be like 170 bucks. If I can't and I have to order the whole manifold, that's like $988. So there's a big difference in this. So I'm going to really work at trying to not break these up. If I can get those bolts off, then I can get those solenoids off. I could probably clean up underneath there a little bit, get the rust off, put the new solenoid on and new bolts. Hopefully that's the case. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to crawl up under here and see what I can do. All right, so as you can see, it's a little tight under here. It could be more space, but and I actually have built myself some lifts. I just don't feel like turning the bus on and putting them on the lifts and waiting for the air to go down. I just feel a lot safer when this thing is bottomed out, when all the air is out of the lines and it's on the ground, because I'm afraid if I get under here with bags, that thing could drop on me or whatever, if I'm not careful where I position my legs and stuff, because there are some really low places. And so I just feel safer that everything's down on the ground as far as it can go before I even get in here. But limited space in here. Actually, what I've done is I've taken the generator out of the nose, and then that leaves me the compartment where the generator sits to work in. And that up there, well, it doesn't look that far up. That's the module I'll be working on. Right, I don't even know, so I don't even see it in the camera. Let's see. Right there, probably. I don't know. I'll have to get up there. But I gotta crawl up in this hole. I got this hydraulic jack in the way. But I'll get up in there after I slide my tools over, and we'll see if we can start cleaning up that solenoid and breaking that nut out. No promises, but all right, let's see. Yeah, if you don't want to climb around underneath and get dirty, then this is probably not the operation for you. But that is where I'm going. See if I can get this light up under here better. Sorry for all the noise in the background. That's the neighbor's footers getting poured. But you can see how bad this was just split, and it is giving an error. I don't know if I can get these out. We'll see without breaking them. I want to be really gentle because I want this to work. Man, it doesn't want to come, does it? Wow, there that one goes. Okay. The wire's kind of hot. Yeah, I think these two are shorting out. I think that's the issue, right? Because they are hot. Yeah, I already took a picture just so you know, so I know what goes where. But what I want to do is really test these to see if I can get that bolt off. If I get that bolt off, I'm ordering these things. And actually, the bolt itself looks really clean. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know how well the light is going to be for you. But the bolt itself looks pretty clean. It's the nut and the plate from the solenoid that look terrible. So if I get those off there, I think I'm going to be in good shape, and I'll order these up. It'll save me a lot of money. I gotta rub that brake free in, you know. Try to get it on there. Oh yeah. Oh, the whole thing's sliding now. There it goes. All right. So that's gonna work. That's going to work. I'm going to have to find some bolts this size, or nuts this size, but that, my friends, I think is going to work. Yep. All right. So I just need to get me one of these on order, or 6 of these on order. And hopefully that solves my issue. Let's look how bad this is. Get this line over here. And that doesn't look terrible. The spacer looks fine. Just needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but everything looks really good in here. So I think I'm in good shape once I get those on order. That's awesome. Saves a lot of hassle. I'm going to try ahead and spray those other ones just so they're ready to go and get that stuff on order. I think I'll go ahead and work on these and get them all unplugged. Very nice. All right, so it's been a few, well, probably a week. Yeah, about a week. I've been sick, man. It's been crazy. But anyway, I got the parts in, the solenoids, put back on the front of this bus. So let me open this compartment back up. I did swap this cylinder for a different cylinder. So that door stays open now. So that's good. I should have fitted that too, I suppose, but let's just put a cylinder in. Sure makes it nice not having to hold that thing open though. And I've got to climb under here again, and I'll meet you under there. I got the parts in this bag. Got my eye protection get on. And got the wrench that I need. And a flashlight. It's gonna be dark in here probably, but oh well. We'll survive. Yeah. All right. Get up in there. All right. So, start getting these spacers back on here. Sorry if you can't see, it's too dark. I know it's gonna be dark. Ugh. they kicked on. That was, I thought that would be the battery drain. If they're kicked on right now though, that could be a bad signal, which means that the computer then could be bad. Not sure. I will be interested to see what the screen's doing now, if it says it's good or not good. So we'll check that out next and keep going from there. That's all we can do. It's interesting, when it's in travel mode, it levels out just fine. If I go to auto, it says it's on a slope. That doesn't make sense because it shows level. If I go to manual, then it shows it's all off. And it's got twist. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So if you go raise, let's see, this side we want to raise, right? That really doesn't do nothing, does it? Can you lower this side? Raise this side and lower that side. Okay, there you go. It's lower in there. Interesting. So now I need to lower this side. But that doesn't work. Nothing. Alright, so I'm kind of back at this bus again today. I've been beating on that frame for quite a while, trying to get that thing straight where it pulled that bolt. One thing we did when we did the plate, we cut the nuts off the back side of it. And so I've got to weld those back on. So I've got a bolt in there, and then I've got this clamp on there. I'm going to have to figure out how to get that nice and tight and straight on there, and then clamp it down and weld. But that's what I'm working on now. All right, YouTube. Well, I haven't been really filming a lot on this because a lot of it's just figuring out and sitting up in there in a dark hole trying to get the hydraulic cables out and stuff. But yesterday I got the mount back in there. So it's all back in there, all straightened up. Came out pretty nice. So that's going to work for me, I think. And then we'll just get this other jack on here and get it set in there. But yeah, it came out really good. I think it'll be nice and straight. And yeah, the other jack I got, well, I got two new lines, so I pulled the old lines out and I'm feeding the new lines in, hydraulic lines, but then I figured I better get the jack in there first because it kind of goes up and around it. But jack I've got painted, it's all cleaned up and painted, so it's dry now, so it just needs to get the foot put back on it, and then I'll jack it up in there and get it mounted. I did put new seals on each of the connectors. I need to go around and do that to all the connectors. It's not going to be easy, but it needs to be done because they're leaking. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. That's what I'm working on this morning. All right, so for the last hour or so I've been up underneath here trying to figure out where these hydraulic lines are so I can get them out. And so I got lights tucked up in there, and I can see up in there in certain little holes like right here. Of course, you're going to see way better than me.
Right, there you go. So they're all bundled together, so now I gotta get around and get these bundles undone so I can pull these cables through. Otherwise I can't get those hydraulic cables out, and they are nasty. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. Not gonna bore you too much on that. Just trying to. So I've been up under there just cutting these little zip ties off. There are zip ties for days underneath there. I finally did get the first 2 lines off. So this is the passenger side rear. Both lines I got pulled finally through and got them taken out. So I'm going to do this real systematically. I have a lot of time, so I'm going to take those 2, get them built, bring them back, put them in before I take any more off. And that way I just constantly just keep it, you know exactly what I'm doing all the time. So that's kind of my plan, and we'll work from there. Of course, I know there's going to be a lot more problems other than these lines. It's just these lines need to be replaced. And since I'm doing the bracket, and I think all the rear lines are kind of exploding anyway. So if I see them swelling or whatever, I'm going to replace them. I think the front ones are fine. We'll see. But the back ones are definitely blowing up. So I'll replace what I need to replace. I'm definitely going to replace the rears, and then we'll go from there. That's kind of the plan at this time. Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting how these are blowing up, leaking into this inside. But hopefully it's the rears and not the fronts, and we can just replace those and call it good. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. All right. Well, that's gonna be it for me today. I got those 2 lines out. They're ready to go. I'll take them up to the Parker store, have them get made. I have no idea what time it is. If I have time today, maybe I'll go do that right now. These are definitely, look at that though, they're just bubbling. They're just shot. It looks like they spliced this one in at one time. I'm not sure what they did, but it looks like they spliced it in. They used a hose that wasn't long enough, or 2 hoses or something to make the one hose, or not really sure, but definitely that one was way too long. The other one looks original. It really doesn't look like there's anything wrong with the original hose. It's just corroded around the head. But I'll go ahead and have another one of those made up just so I know they're good. And we'll go from there. All right, well, let me go get cleaned up because I am nasty, nasty, nasty. All right, getting this mounted on here is going to be pretty daggone tricky. I'm really not even sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I think I'm going to get it under there and set it up. And then I'm going to take the jack under, put it on the jack, and then jack it to where it needs to be, and then bolt it in, is what I think I'm going to do. I'm not 100% sure. So let me try getting it under there and set it up in there first, and then we'll pull this jack over here, and then we'll push it in and jack her up, maybe. In theory, anyway.